Remy is ready.
Remy is ready. All right, Remy, take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
Yes,
we can hear you loud and clear.
Hear you. You're good.
Good.
Yes, you're good. You're welcome to start whenever you're ready.
Okay. So thank you. I'm not sure if we lost anybody over lunch, but I'm Remy Delmar, and I'm a product manager at Epson. I've been at Epson for now nearly 5 years. Sorry, and I lost technology. Gotta love it. Okay, sorry, I think the slide thingy was frozen. Anyway, so I'm gonna start over. I'm Remy Delmar. I'm product manager at Epson. I'm in charge of digital experiences, which consist of augmented reality solutions and new applications for projectors. In the earlier session, I talked about a specific product called LightScene. In this presentation, I want to talk about some of these experiences that are being done by the creative community and the software community in bringing the potential out of projectors and what's possible, from activating a label on a small bottle, as you can see in this image, to sort of bigger than life experiences as they were done with our high brightness projectors. So there's a book that was written by Joseph Pine, I want to say in the late 90s, but in that particular book, he talks about the breaks in different industrial revolutions and how people have gone from maybe back in the days when you had to bake something, you had to extract the actual flour and wake up at 3 in the morning to bake something. And then with the Industrial Revolution, everything became boxed. And so you could buy a Betty Crocker and bake a cake and do it in a fraction of the time. And now we're in the service economy where you can sort of sit on your couch and actually pay a premium to have the same cake be delivered to you. And the notion of the book is that the next stage or of this economic revolution is this staging an experiential economy, in which basically there's a movement from cost to value, and for brands to stand apart from each other. Those who can provide those experiences that are engaging and memorable have more of an advantage. So with that in mind, let's look at how that relates to digital signage. So this report was done in 2018 by also it's a digital, and the question was asked that why would, from end users and also ecosystem partners, why would there be spending in digital signage in the future? And the number one answer was to increase customer engagement, and number two was customer experiences. And of those, about 60 or so percent said that they're ready to diversify their technology to reach those set goals. So when we talk about projectors, and there's this notion that projectors are old, because back in the days, projectors used to support a culture of productivity. And so this is the kind of projector I went to school with. But this is not the same technology today that creates those unique experiences. A lot has improved and evolved in terms of the optical engine and the back end array of connectivity, the software solutions, and then you have the creative community and the software community with their own solutions that can tap into display technologies and create these amazing experiences. I also talked about how projectors are unique in this space because you can they're not bound by a frame, and you can basically project light and the source of illumination on nearly any surface, object, or material to create these unique experiences and merge the physical and digital world into one. And as Epson, we have products now from 2,000 to 30,000 lumens that can deliver to these experiences. And we do take this approach as an industry leader to be a consultant to our end users to sort of ask those deeper why questions before we provide a solution for this sort of unique experiences. And we also like to work with them to create awareness about these possibilities in the space. So I want to show you a quick video and to just showcases some of the projects we worked on last year. And then I have a lot of visual examples coming after that. So that was just a snippet of some of the executions, again, last year, not this recent year. This next slide, it's a foundry from the 1800s in Paris. And they've basically turned this space now to an experiential space where they have implemented about 120 projectors. They're not Epson projectors, I wish there were. And also about 50 or so multi-directional speakers. And what they do is they bring classical arts to life. So in this particular engaging experience, you're not just looking at the artwork, but you're in the artwork and you're fully immersed in it. You're fully immersed in that era. And that's been their way of, and these guys, it's called Rimscape, is the company that does it. And I've put the name on the slide, so feel free to go on YouTube and see how they're basically taking an old space and something that perhaps the new generation does not appreciate to make it more relevant to this new generation. Similarly, Team Lab does it differently, and they actually use, I want to say for the most part, exclusively Epson projectors, but in this case, they're not trying to merge two different eras, but merge our physical world with the digital world. So in one particular application, for example, they have water and they're projecting koi fish, and you're encouraged to take your shoes off and soak your feet in the water and fully immersed from floor to ceiling in this digital world. Now, bringing it down a little bit and grounding it, this place is called Temple House. They're in Miami, Florida, and they've basically taken a temple and they made it an event space for corporate events, weddings, bar mitzvah, and of course, these are all pre-pandemic. However, they customized this space using our mid-range PowerLight L projectors to turn this simple room into, for example, give it different personalities by having a back end and a different content they can pump into this room, creating without changing anything else. And that's the key thing that makes projection unique for these experiences, because once you turn off the projectors, you get your space back you get your walls back and you get your decor back. They can turn the same space into a golf course, or they can turn it into a digital art gallery. And like I said, once you turn off the projectors, you get your space back. There is no need to reinforce the walls or account for heating. And they're doing this literally with our mid-range projectors at about 6,000 lumen. Of course, they have multitudes of them in the room. So this idea of experiences versus objects, which is what drove at the time Joseph Pine to write the book, or we heard Wayne talking about experiences and Laura talking about consultative approach to new ways of display technology, is really at the core of why Epson pushes digital experiences beyond digital signage, because we too also believe that there needs to be something more to engage customers with brands and products, and we want to participate in that conversation and be an active participant in it. I mentioned during the Q&A from the last lightning round about how projection can be used to create holographic experiences. This was done by our high-end Pro-L projectors, bringing Maria Roy Orbison and I forgot her last name, this opera singer to life. And they did a tour, and we did a video case study, which is also available on our YouTube channel, on our website, for those of you who are interested to see how they use the projectors and how this became about.
To really push the envelope with their equipment. Absolutely.
This is a dining experience. It was a one-night dining experience that we hosted. It was sponsored in New York. There's a full video. However, you can see that the menu was projected on the table using light scene at the beginning, and then basically the entrees are projected on the plates. We see a lot more of this sort of immersive dining experiences as a product showing up, and that goes again cost versus value, and how people want to spend quality time to experience things that are unique and haven't happened before. You think about it, Yelp is about 15 years old. To this date, when I go out to eat, I first look at the picture of the food I'm about to order before I make the decision. So how do you connect the two and bring one experience for customers? We did this last year at DSE. I sure miss those days of actual trade shows, where we used different projectors, and we basically created a retail wall where you could use the same objects that we see in retail, creating a showroom. For example, the candles that you see on the top right, we had actually flames coming out of them, and if the scent was cinnamon, you could see then sort of a visual translation of what that would look like, to again engage all of your senses into this retail showcasing of the products. So this would be a good example of visual merchandising, of how you can use existing spaces to tell the story of the products. Other ones would be sort of more pragmatic. In the case of this video, they're using light scene, and actually they've hit it on top with touch interaction, so you can learn more about the cell phone you're about to purchase. Now, while this is engaging and engages people with the product, it may create more of an emotional attachment to actually make a purchase decision, but also educating people can really, what we are hearing from our retail end users, when you engage people with products and they learn about it, they're less likely to return it, which creates more of an financial efficiency for the retailers in the long run. In higher ed, we had an event where we worked with a design school, and they used light scene projectors in this case for environmental design to showcase different prototypes. So you always use the regular medium of creating prototypes, and they just overlaid it with digital content and did a video for choreography of the projects that the students were showing their teachers and also the industry at graduation. So projections provide flexibility. One, from a single projector, at least on fixed lens solutions, you can get up to 500 inches of image size. But also, it's not just about big and bold. You can also get an image as small as 30 inches from a single projector. And sometimes engaging doesn't have to be bigger than life. Engaging can also be captivating when you're engaging a person with a particular product and in sort of in a pleasant way or in the least expected way. Signage projectors also have built-in media players to reduce the sort of the friction points, and our solutions are also come with in pure black and pure white, so that can blend in with the environment. For example, at the museum, they may prefer black, so it can blend better as opposed to white for retail. The number one thing that we've learned, at least Epson, in the last few years is that engaging first and informing second is a real pain point for a lot of our stakeholders, retailers, hospitality individuals, and even entertainment. Our digital experiences don't only inform our human experiences, but are an important part of it. I read an article that millennials now, over 60%, said they would only travel to places that were Instagrammable or shareable. Now that attention span is going to even decrease with Gen Z entering the workforce. They have a huge spending power, and they are the first native digital generation, meaning they have no concept of the analog world. So I think for a lot of us in the industry, as technologists, as futurists, as we fast forward the clock, it's important to sort of think the future customers of our stakeholders, what do they need? And what are the steps that we need to take to provide solutions that can serve our stakeholders and create longevity in the ecosystem? And for us at Epson, the power of projection technology, we always want to ask ourselves, what if we could basically activate nearly any surface with digital content and create those experiences? I mentioned at the beginning that we also want to make sure that we have the opportunity to work with end users and create awareness. So we do a lot of case studies across our entire lineup. Those case studies are usually published and available. I've put some examples here, but if you go to Epson.com and our press room, they can also be filtered by different categories. And we also have YouTube playlists by different product categories. So if you're interested in seeing the holographic experience I was talking about, you can go to our Epson YouTube channel and search for high brightness, or for digital signage, or fixed lens solutions, you can go to digital signage channel and look at some of those videos. And last but not least, that is our motto is beyond digital signage onto digital experiences. I hope that you get to stay tuned, because after this, there's a video case study that we did with IKEA. IKEA started their exploration using light scenes, and from that point, they moved on in creating an experience in their bedroom section with our Pro L. And we felt like that could be very educational and fun for you to see. Thank you for listening to my presentation. And I guess I'll turn it to the team to play the video.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Remy, I have a few questions for you, if that's okay.
Of course.
Awesome. So I know you talked a little bit about how millennials will only travel, like a lot of them, 60%, I think you said, will only travel to places that are Instagrammable. So how does that work with projection? Because I know in the past, projection images are hard to get on just a regular cell phone camera. So tell me a little bit about what makes a light scene different that can let it, that its projections can be something that are Instagrammed.
Okay, so let me kind of unpack that statement from light scene and also from the why projectors. The deeper why behind why I mentioned the millennials or Gen Z is that people are craving shareable experiences, memorable experiences, things that are different and unique. I can refer to another article I read that millennials, for example, in Vegas, they don't gamble, but they would pay a premium to have a unique dining experience. It wasn't about how you can share that experience on Instagram with projectors, but let me connect the dots to that. So like last year at InfoComm, what we did is we had a sort of a way of morphing your image when you looked in the camera, and you could take the photo, and then it would project in a very large wall size, and then you could take a photo and Instagram it. Because now you look like Andy Warhol effect type thing. So we try, it's not one thing that does it, and it's not about lighting, but it's about how do you connect different technologies and different platforms to make something happen that hasn't been done before.
100%. So next question, I think this one's from Zach. Experience seems like a very large word. Much of architectural and urban living is experiential. We experience certain streets, neighborhoods, buildings, rooms, etc. Can digital advertising offer new ways of including and elevating different kinds of identities or experiences of a certain city?
I'm not sure if I completely understand the question. Can you read it one more time?
Yeah, sure. So I think he's asking that a lot of urban areas rely on experience to make it a good place to live, just based on certain streets, certain neighborhoods. So I think like asking about digital advertising offering different things in different neighborhoods or different experiences per different neighborhoods within a city, how that might work.
I don't know. I mean, I can provide like an opinion. I'm not sure if I've ever thought about it in that sense, but some of the things that I see, for example, that I
Philosophical
find
question.
it's a big question, and it's a fair question. I think that retailers do that actually all the time. For example, if you go to the same branch of Nordstrom's, I'm going to use it as an example. In certain areas, you may get different variety of products than if you went to a different location, because they try to serve the community and the traffic that comes through. So if the question is, how can we use display technology, and I'm not talking about digital signage or advertising, to either provide education about the community, to create awareness about social justice, to inform people about community events that brings people together, or educate them about health factors. I think those are all good ideas, and they don't necessarily have to be monetized for advertising, but they can be folded in. Now the question is the amount of money and infrastructure put in place in a neighborhood that's perhaps not as wealthy. And that's where I think the creative community can play a huge role in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a good answer. So next question, how would this new tech, for example, the light scene or holograms, replace the conventional front of house visual solutions used in churches?
Well, so some of the things that I showed, some of them are kind of a reach, like the hologram effect, right? That's something that is a very curated and unique experience. As a matter of fact, I think a few years ago, that was done. Anyway, so I think those are very curated experiences, and they require special expertise. But what I'm seeing, and sort of as a trend that's emerging, is that as open platforms become more available, as a lot of people can now make music and create content on their own PCs, this stuff becomes more accessible. And it will eventually penetrate. House of Worship already is very music heavy. They have entertainment already. They have singers and they have displays, and I can see it can be only a matter of time before we see some of those elements of either teachings or the musical aspect of it in House of Worship.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, they are 100% music heavy. Someone else said, these are really cool projects. How does one get involved? So what customer starts the process and who are they going to now? Which I guess they're kind of asking what type of provider and how to find them. And then follow-up question, is there a typical chain of events that leads to getting involved in these experiential projects? So kind of a multi-question. You can kind of like do that one part at a time.
Yeah, these are big questions you guys are asking me. Wow. So I think so. There are a few things.
Prepared.
Yeah. I think one, digital signage, in my experience and my humble experience, is a bit fragmented and it's heavily evolving very quickly. Last year at NRF, I saw a lot of back-end AI, voice recognition, touch recognition, robotics things. The year before, it was more about displays. So now you take this new evolving space and you add these elements of these new experiences. One thing I'm seeing is like our traditional integrators are also evolving. There is like this new generation of integrators that's more end to end, and they're learning this experiential things like projection mapping, and they are open to new display technologies. How to get involved, and I think, and at Epson really tries to work closely with them. We also, like I said, we really take it upon ourselves to meet with end users and just be a creative partner to them. In case of IKEA and some other names, we just sit down and say, what do you want to do? And this is how you do it. And we just take the time to share our experiences with them. And then how does one get engaged? Well, how do I get engaged? I just spend so much time on Instagram and LinkedIn, and and I search online and I read articles and I'm on Flipboard. And when I find one that does something unique, I reach out to them. And I think that's sort of a grassroots approach, because again, it's sort of a it's a new movement. It's a new movement. It's not 15 years old. It's something that I think is super exciting to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was great. So on that note, I think that was all the questions that I had submitted to me, but I did want to take a second and thank you. And thank you for rolling with the punches on those questions. Those were hard to answer. So you did. That was fantastic. Those answers were great. So thank you so much.
Thank you, of course. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of course. And once again, I just want to shout out to Epson. Thank you to them for being a platinum sponsor today. And if you want to know anything else, any other questions, I will tell you what you can do. You can scroll down to the resources section. It is red, you will see it, and you can click the link to book a Zoom meeting with Epson at a later date if you have any other questions about how light scene works or how that can work in your vertical, or any of the questions similar to what you were asking during this session. So I know that she will be very happy to answer all of those when you have a sit-down meeting. So yeah. Very nifty.
Very nifty.